For the longest time now, for some reason, consoles like PlayStation and Xbox and Nintendo consoles, they have all kept one major thing hidden, and this is a very big detail that PC platforms like Steam are very transparent about, but for some reason consoles have not been, and that is the actual player count of games. How many people are actually playing every single different game on your platform? But now Sony is apparently testing a brand new PlayStation 5 feature that could completely change that. And honestly, this could have a huge impact on gaming, even bigger than people realize. Because you see, once player count is public information, suddenly everyone can see which games are doing very good and which games are not. So obviously on platforms like Steam, this is kind of just commonplace. You can go to the Steam website, you can see like the actual top games right now, what their current player count is, what the peak was today. You can even just go to every single game on the Steam database website and you can find all of those numbers and then some. Yeah, like I said, platforms like Steam and just PC platforms in general are usually very transparent about this, but consoles are not. I don't think we've ever had it where there is an official player count on consoles. Sometimes we've gotten that with specific games, like one game in particular I can remember is Halo 3. I remember it had that tab at the bottom of the matchmaking menu that had like, you know, the amount of people that were online at that time. Sometimes specific games did that sort of thing, but usually this was not the case, and it was definitely really never the case for the actual interface of a console to just show by default the player count of every single game. But it turns out this could now be happening for PlayStation 5, and it actually is literally already happening right now in beta. So this came out just right at the start of the weekend on Friday, just a couple days ago, May 15th. This is from IGN. A lot of other articles are talking about it. So it says Sony seems to be testing a new feature that reveals PS5 player counts to the public. So it says Sony has seemingly started testing a new PS5 feature that allows users to see player counts for games like COD, Battlefield, Minecraft, and more. So rumors that the company could soon roll out a new approach to player data began on May 15th, like I said, a couple days ago on Friday, after YouTuber Mystic shared footage of a new widget with two tracking options. One is for trending titles and one is for the top 10 games. The former seems to track surges in gameplay hours for specific titles, while the latter shows how many players some games had in the last week. Okay, so yeah, this was revealed a couple days ago in this YouTube video right here by Mystic. I have linked it in the description. It's just in like the very first couple minutes of the 38 or 39 minute video. Basically, this is showing that real PlayStation 5 beta users are apparently receiving this feature now in a new beta update. Now, Mystic did show this footage. It showed this menu in beta, and like the article said, you can list the top 10 or you can list trending now for games. And these are basically going to show different things. The trending is going to show percentages, so we can see right here, this is an example that the video showed. This is a game where you can look at the bottom, it says 272% surge in gameplay hours. So yeah, this is going to show when certain games are really spiking in popularity. I don't think it's going to show the opposite. I don't think you can necessarily look at like games that have just tanked in popularity. But yeah, trending, it's going to show the ones that are spiking in popularity. Now the other one, top 10, this is going to show the actual player count. Now it's not concurrent players right now, and it's not going to show like a detailed chart that Steam would provide, but it's just going to show players this week. So for example, in the top 10, Fortnite is a surprise number one. So when you look at Fortnite, it shows kind of at the bottom there, 14.6 players this week. Obviously, I'd assume that that means that in the past 7 days, 14.6 million PlayStation users have gone online with the Fortnite game at some point. And other games are going to show their weekly player count as well. But obviously, as I said, this is not going to be as detailed as Steam. I think this is just limited to the top 10 games in terms of player count for the week. And obviously for trending games, it's just showing, a highlight reel. It's not going to show every single game that is spiking in popularity. It's just going to be kind of just a few handful of them. But right now, this is just in beta. This could very much grow in terms of the detail that it provides. We could get charts for every single game on the PlayStation console platform, which is huge because, as I said, consoles have never had this level of transparency. Even just in the beta right now where we're at, with PlayStation just showing these few handful of games, their player count and the trending percentage of players, like that's huge. We've never had that for consoles, not for PlayStation, not for Xbox, not for Nintendo. And this could really lead the way for console transparency. Xbox could absolutely follow suit with stuff like this, and maybe even Nintendo too. I don't think I'll hold my breath on them. They kind of usually do things their own way. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see Xbox really trying to do something like this very, very soon. And like I said, with PlayStation, with this whole thing being in beta, this could get a lot more detailed very soon. I think this makes sense too now, because with games now being more about player count and less about sales, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is really up to you. But now that that's kind of being more of a thing, I could see player count being even more relevant to the console giants, Sony and Microsoft. And if Sony and Microsoft are starting to embrace more of these public metrics and really going transparent with them, it is really signaling how important being transparent with the data has become in modern gaming. On one hand, some people might think that obsessing over these numbers is not a good thing, and I get that, but I'm a huge believer in the most amount of transparency is always a good thing. So I really think that this is going to be more detailed as we go forward, as we get out of this beta feature, and I really want to see if Xbox also follows suit.